I didn't bother writing an intro for this week. So.
Can you just sing the theme tune, please?
Which one?
The final corner.
Oh, the final corner.
Yeah. I never listened to it at 1.5 speed, so I get diddle-diddle-doo, 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 diddle-diddle-doo. But I don't actually know if it sounds like that.
Welcome back to the Final Corner podcast, where we kind of got an F1 race, maybe a bit of a parade.
Nah.
Let's discuss it. Yeah, we'll discuss it, if that was a race or not. But we did get racing at Thruxton for the British Touring Cars, so at least we have some track action to talk about. My name is Colin, and as always I'm joined by Tom and by Nick.
Hello.
Did you enjoy the F1 this week, lads?
I thought qualifying was really good. Qualifying was good.
Qualifying was amazing, and then the clouds really opened up and the world ended, basically.
Yeah.
4 hours of listening to Crofty padding for time, arguing with Martin Bundle over everything.
Yes.
Really? I missed all this, I'm glad.
Yeah, so do we want to do the F1 first and get it out of the way quick, or do we want to...
Yeah. Save the best till last day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Formula 1, Spa. Practice.
And there's that.
Yep.
On to the touring cars.
Yeah. I was really excited for this one. I love Spa.
Yeah, I was.
Practice was kind of interesting. Leclerc crashed. Verstappen crashed.
Oh, yeah. I've forgotten about that. It was dry.
It was dry then. They both crashed.
I thought, Verstappen's car looks alright. Oh, no, hang on a minute. It's missing a wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, Raikkonen hit the pit lane.
He did?
Yes.
The worst pit lane entry in the world.
Yeah.
He took my line into it when I'm playing the game.
Those cars are wide, though, right? Wider than at the
Yeah.
rear than the front. Although you'd think you'd be used to it by now.
Yeah, did you not watch the go-kart safety video that you get shown every single time you go? The carts are wider at the rear than they are at the front, so bear this in mind.
That's a good point.
Motorsport is a dangerous activity. Please keep your arms inside the car at all times.
Unless you're gesticulating.
Yeah, so that was it for practice, I think. And then qualifying was pretty exciting because it was wet, but not too wet. So we actually got some running in Q1 and Q2.
Yeah, it started out where most people were on the wet tyres, I believe.
Yeah, all but the Williams.
Yeah, and the Williams were right because they were like 5 seconds quicker.
Yeah.
11 minutes left, they were 5 seconds. George was 5 seconds quicker than Max Verstappen, so that was interesting. And I feel like the Mercedes were on the wets the longest, maybe? Could be wrong there.
Yeah, they were late.
I think so, yeah.
But both Williams were really good at that point. Oh, right at the start, Latifi went off in the puddles. I forgot about that. And
Oh, yes, he did.
he nearly got
compromised
stuck.
Russell's first lap as well.
Yeah, the session was so long that and I suppose right at the start was when it was at the wettest and they were on the inters, so it was a bit. And he was first on track, I think, as well.
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it? Because he just ran a bit deep into the corner and then tried to cut across the grass and
Spun
then
on the
spun
grass
by doing that.
Yeah, well, the puddles were deep though as well, so I was surprised
Yeah.
he got out of there.
No,
That was basically Q1 though, I guess.
pretty much, yeah. Everyone then stuck on the inters and went quick, but
Apart from Yuki Tsunoda again.
Yep.
yeah.
Bottom 5 was the usual suspects,
You'd
wasn't it?
think he'd be good in the rain.
Yeah, you
Most
think so?
Japanese drivers are.
Yeah, the commentary said that, right? Oh, the Japanese drivers are, amazing in the rain. Yuki Tsunoda, P17. But Mick Schumacher out-qualified Raikkonen.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's fair play.
Yeah.
Second quicker than Mazepin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to judge in the way, isn't it? But skill comes through in at some parts in the way. Other times it's just a bit of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Speaking of Mick, though, did anyone get to see the build-up with thing of him driving his dad's car?
Was that this weekend? I saw a picture of it.
was.
Was it the Jordan with the 7-Up?
It was, yeah.
Nice. I saw he had a celebratory helmet as well, right?
Yeah, that didn't really get to see.
Oh well, yeah, true.
Yeah.
I saw it on social media. That counts.
What was good to see him driving the car was he sounded like a kid when he was driving the car. He just started sort of shouting as he's driving along and saying how much fun it was.
Oh, I bet the engine would sound good for him.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can watch that on the YouTube somewhere. Was it a Sky thing?
It was.
Yeah.
Right, so it might not be on, but if it is, I will add it to my playlist to watch later.
Yeah, they played it during Sunday as well when everyone was sat about doing nothing.
Oh well, yeah, fair enough.
I think Chan Hawk had a go on it as well.
He did.
He is. Oh yes, I can see it there. He's on YouTube, so I will watch that later. Good shout on that. Oh man, that car looks so good.
He's got not a bad gig for only doing 11 Grand Prix in his life.
Yeah.
Chandok.
Yeah, he's got a cushy number there. Getting to drive some nice old F1 cars, turning up and giving 4 minutes of opinion every Sunday. I mean, it's not bad. I wish I had that.
Yeah. That was good research there on number of Grand Prix. What was the team? Was it HRT?
Yep.
HRT, and he got dropped halfway through.
Mm-hmm. I suppose they had money issues, though. It could have been an issue there with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he also is, I don't know if he's still, but you know when you're saying he drove the old Grand Prix car?
What, the Williams?
Yeah, he's got the old, he's like Williams Classic, do they call it? Or Heritage or something like this? He's their like test driver.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a load of wealthy clientele who will own the cars, and he'll go like shake it down for them.
Yeah.
So that is also a cushy gig. Yeah, you're right, Colin. Get to drive classic Formula One cars and talk about your passion for a living. Yeah, jealous. But yeah, I didn't see that, so I'll watch it. Cheers.
Yeah, it's worth a watch.
It is on the Sky Sports F1 YouTube channel. Oh, and of course, just quickly, slight tangent. 15th of September, Michael Schumacher documentary on Netflix. Looking forward to that.
That is.
Yeah. I deliberately haven't watched the trailer, and just watch it when it comes out.
Oh, no, well, we won't talk about it then.
Yeah, I hope it's not a fluff piece, and I hope it shows everything it should.
It won't do.
It probably won't, but Michael Schumacher isn't a clean-cut greatest of all-time driver. He's got another side that you need to talk about if you're going to do a proper documentary on Schumacher.
Yes.
I'm with you on that, because it has got a lot of the family in there, which is great, because that's like an exclusive thing. But yeah, I want to see him squeezing Barrichello against the wall in Hungary, for example.
Yeah, the ruthless side of him.
Yeah. The parking in Monaco, was it 2006 in qualifying?
Yep.
All that jazz. Anyway, stop that tangent before we'll probably, if it's any good, we'll mention it, I'm sure, in a future episode.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Q2, and George Russell is, I think, in the top 5 in Q2. Yeah. So comfortably through Q3 for the first time in a couple of races. But I think it's like the third or fourth time this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You get used to it now, almost.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't too surprised. Lando Norris was mega Q2. He looked like he'd be definitely shout with a pole.
Yep.
And I was a bit surprised that both Ferraris were out.
Yeah, they seemed to struggle in the rain.
It was really drying up towards the end as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was almost a dry line. I thought, are we going to slicks for Q3? Spoiler alert, no.
Well, Leclerc and Stroll were upset after Q2 because I think they only done one fast lap on ours, where a couple of drivers were in too.
I think Latifi had a similar thing.
About that.
Yeah, Stroll was blowing up on the radio about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Latifi put in one of his interviews was saying how he didn't get the second lap in there either. Which I still think, like, if you take George Russell away, he's still done an amazing job as Latifi. P12 is really good for him.
Yeah.
But it's easy to forget. Yeah. But he's beaten Carlos Sainz Jr., who's supposedly this Rainmeister.
Yeah.
And that Ferrari was not working in these conditions because Leclerc's out-qualified him, but only just. They're both not through. So the Ferraris. And I thought at this point, both Alpines are struggling, but Ocon made it through, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alonso didn't seem to do too well, but I think he just missed the conditions.
I feel like the Alpines left it right to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So Ocon was slow with Fernando for most of that session, but fair play, pulled it out of the bag at the end. Crofty said some annoying stat which annoyed me. I'm just going to mention. Vettel has only won one race since he last won at Spa.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that.
Because that's a stat.
Yeah, brilliant.
Ah, dear.
We're going to trigger Colin in a minute.
No. There's two things there. I had to listen to Crofty a lot this weekend, and also I'm getting annoyed at pointless stats and pointless records just in every
Regardless
sport.
of who says it. Yeah.
It's just there's like, they're the first team not to concede a goal in the first 20 minutes of a game for the 7 consecutive games ever. Like, that's not a stat. Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
And you get an F1 with Crofty as well. It's like, we don't. That's not a record. That's not a stat. Like, shushed. Like, just
There's so much data and information now, and especially if you revisiting tracks and stuff, or you've got the internet as a tool to research and these amazing databases. I suppose you have more access to the information than ever, right? And if you happen to be on a paid TV service where you're trying to pad for 6 hours, or whatever, regardless of a red flag, then you have to have a load lined up, right?
Well, he does have some good stats, but the problem is he has
just
one good stat out of the 50 that he uses. Is the problem, I think. Some of them are quite interesting, but majority are not.
Yeah. I couldn't do what he's doing or any commentator's doing, to clarify, but that one was a bit like, come on now.
No, I could pad for time for 6 hours watching Lando Norris take a nap in the pit lane. I mean, how hard can that be? Just be a giant knob and you'll get paid. It'd be great. Q3?
Yeah, Q3.
Q3 starts and it is pouring down.
Yeah.
It is proper dark, proper wet. I think Lando's the first one out, and everyone's, I think, reporting back that it's too wet. Vettel was on the radio shouting for a red flag.
Yeah.
Norris said he was aquaplaning, and then he's the first one to Eau Rouge radio, and he has a slight sideways moment coming towards the top of the hill, corrects it, and then goes flying into that dreaded wall on the inside, which seems to be causing a lot of issues, and he's out, red flag, session over.
What I would say is we've talked about this while for a wall.
Rewind, try again.
Yeah,
correct.
We've talked about this wall for a while. We mentioned it in previous podcasts, right? So there's no surprise, especially after what we saw with W Series this weekend as well.
Yeah,
right?
that was insane.
We should touch upon that. That was mad, but that
was weather related as well.
That was weather related, yeah. And there's nothing FIA could do about that in that respect, where it suddenly starts raining when everyone's on slicks.
Yeah,
I'm glad everyone's okay with that, by the way. This one, I don't think it's aquaplaning though, right?
No,
it's not aquaplaning as such. It's just lost the car through there.
And it's, for me, the key thing is how the car was lost. This is another thing we mentioned. Whatever it is with this tyre, or these tyres, I should say, and maybe it's the aerodynamic rule set at the minute. No one can catch a slide unless it's tiny. You either catch a tiny movement, or you have overcorrection and it snaps back the other way. And that happens all the time. I mean, we laugh and joke about Mazepin in Bahrain, but that's what happened to him. You know, slide, whoop, snap. Yuki Tsunoda, I don't know, every race weekend. Perez, we'll come to that in a bit. Same thing. So, yes, I do believe the wall needs to be changed at Spa, but I do think there are other factors that caused that. I don't think it was necessarily aquaplaning, therefore maybe the quantity of water was okay-ish. It was still really bad. Yeah, and also it's just this whole snap scenario they've got, which is mad.
They did say, or someone said that the conditions in Q3 at the start were actually worse than the ones they had during the race. That was
really
race.
Oh, right.
It looked worse.
Yeah,
looked a lot worse. Good news though is that it's going to be changed next year. They're going to move that barrier back because they're reprofiling that whole section. They're not changing the corner, but they're changing everything around it, and I think they're changing the grandstand so that it can accommodate bikes again. and they're introducing gravel traps around Athol Rouge and several other places around the track. So
I mean,
good
that's not
news,
a
it
work
will
of a
be
moment.
changed.
So they've clearly been working on that for a while. So I would say that
It's been a few years in the making. That has.
yeah, and I would say then they've seen all these accidents at the Spa 24 Hours and gone, yeah, we need to do something here, because that's where the big ones have been the last few years. Like, I don't think there's been a big accident in F1 up there for a while.
Not for a few years.
The Renault when Magnussen was in it.
Magnussen, and his little head restraint fell off, which was scary, I felt.
Yeah,
You know
and
that
then,
bit that comes around.
then there was the F2 crash 2 years ago. Which,
The F2 crash is the Anton
Yeah,
Hubert.
that's the big
Very
one.
sad. That is a huge one, and maybe the plan was enacted from that point on. We don't know. It's pure speculation. But.
I think it was before that, actually.
Ah, okay, right.
I think.
Well,
it was being championed by the boss of Spa, Natalie Mallet, who
Okay.
also was murdered 2 weeks ago.
yeah, that's
but
mad.
She was apparently the one that was championing it as the
Okay.
CEO of the track, and I think it's all. I think it may be government funded actually, or EU funded the changes. I think it's like 80 million.
80 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, there's
they've
a
got the
big
money
earth bank they
somewhere.
need to remove, so it's not straightforward.
Yeah.
No, it's a big job. But I'm glad they're changing it.
I'm glad I'm changing that. That's what we've been asking for. So that was the time to announce the change.
Yeah, I mean,
part of me thinks though it was only. Well, I suppose it was W Series and other stuff. Yeah.
I did like the way Brundle put it as well. Well, first of all, when they were actually watching it live and you see Lando disappear under the trees where the helicopter was, well, I don't know if it was a helicopter or just a crane camera, but he said, "Has he gone round?" And I'm thinking, you couldn't see anything. How did he know? And then instantly he did.
Ah, yeah, well spotted.
But he called it a champion's crash,
Oh,
because
which I thought was an interesting way of putting it, but it's due to his commitment and bravery to just go up there through the
the
conditions.
Jacques Villeneuve method,
Yeah.
because he used to try and go flat every year, and he would crash every year.
Yeah.
I mean, one year, there's actually an interesting podcast. I mean, obviously you should be listening to this Final Corner podcast first. But other than that, Formula One has a Spotify exclusive series where it's like documentaries. It's okay. I've listened to the one I've listened to was when the BAR Honda team, Villeneuve and Zonta, both crashed in qualifying, trying to outdo each other by going flat through Rouge and Radion.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I can see the comparison. Let's see what Bundle's saying.
there's been a lot of commentary on that corner of the weekend. A lot of people are not wanting it to change, but I think the important bit is they're not changing the corner. They're
correct.
changing the barrier.
Which is
So
what we would like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to have a lethal or near lethal crash if you get Eau Rouge wrong. There's enough
Yeah.
punishment if you get that wrong at the top of that hill,
Yep.
and not have that barrier. So I think it's a good rate of progress.
Vettel pulled over as well, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a nice thing. Because he hadn't been told if Lando was okay or not.
He was just behind
He
him, wasn't he?
asked.
Yeah.
And he asked the team, is he okay? And he got no reply, so he pulled up and gave him the thumbs up to ask if he was okay.
Yeah. Now that is reminiscent of Senna,
Yes.
Eric Comas, right?
Yeah, I was trying to remember the name of the other
Eric
driver.
Comas, yeah, 92. Because on the run up to this race, actually, the Formula One YouTube channel put 5 feel good moments, and they put feel good as one word with no space and a capital G. What? Ugh! At the Spa Francorchamps Belgian Grand Prix, and that's the first clip. It's different because
Yeah.
Norris is knocked out and Vettel doesn't get out of the car, but similar circumstance where one car's crashed in and the other car's pulled over.
Yeah.
But that was the end of Norris's run.
It was, and amazingly, the same car would have started the race.
Oh, okay.
They rebuilt that car using the same chassis and the same engine.
Wow.
That's why he was on the grid.
That's
as opposed to
amazing.
Starting from the pits, it had a gearbox change.
Wow. That's stunning. The rigidity of the main chassis must be very high.
Well, I think when you watch it, he sort of went in with the front corner,
Right.
and then it sort of spun round and took the other corners off, but the chassis itself didn't actually take a big hit.
Right. Also, the corners are built to deform, right, which dissipates the energy.
Yeah.
Very clever.
So though it was a big crash, I don't think it was as bad as it actually looked on telly.
Right. Well, there was a red flag. There was another crash. Did you see that?
Was that the Carton one?
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
So Formula One can't race in the rain like that, but the go-karting at Spa could.
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for that guy. How crap would you feel? Your go-karting crash has been caught by 300 million people.
Yeah, so
If only they knew his name and could put it
I
up on the
know.
screen all the time.
remember when that fan was crying when Raikkonen retired, and then they that child
Oh,
they
yeah.
pulled him out. They should have had the interview with the guy who had put his go-kart in the gravel while the red flag was out.
Ted wasn't on, but that's the sort of thing he would have done.
Yeah.
Right, qualifying results. Prepare yourself. George Russell was almost on pole. He was on pole for about
Yeah.
20 seconds
Yeah.
before Max beat him. But
When-
George Russell's P2
Amazing.
in a Williams.
Oh god, that's amazing.
What?
When the first purple sector went in, the commentators went, could George
Yeah.
Russell be on pole? And I went, shut up. It's just
Yeah.
it's just got a good setup through
No.
sector 1 or the straight. Or, I don't know.
Weirdly, he had more downforce than everyone else, but he was still quicker in the first sector, which is just
Wow.
the straight and the one corner.
Well, that could have been. Does it include Rouge Radion?
It does.
Wow, impressive that, because he could have. Yeah, he's clearly balls to the wall through there.
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. He said that he was told he was P1, and he's just waiting for the other cars to pass him, and they kept coming back to him saying that Hamilton was slower.
Yeah,
Just
Perez
each
was
one
slower.
was slower.
Yeah. Oh no, Perez
So-
already went before that, didn't he? Yeah, he did one quick lap at the end, right? In theory, they timed it all right, so he had the right electrical energy and the right tyre prep and stuff. Some people went twice at the end.
Yeah.
Well, they did one fast lap, they slowed down, then did another. I think George just did, let's go,
Yeah.
which worked out well. Yeah, Josh Capito came on the radio, which I think is the first time, right? He sounded
think so, yeah.
emotional. When
I'm not surprised.
when the big boss is on the phone, you know you've done a good job.
Yeah. And it wasn't just a one-off either, was it? He was quick in all sessions.
Yeah. Absolutely nailed
So-
through all of them. Wonderful.
If there was any doubts over his ability, I think they're gone now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, he can't race.
He can't race and he can't start, but he's quick, so
I did see a lot
He's,
of interesting comments on the internet, which were congratulating everybody else but him. And I thought, oh, that's a
Really?
slight side way of dissing him. Now we've got a new strategy of the doubters, which is, oh, amazing for Ricciardo and Vettel and Gasly and Ocon and Leclerc and Latifi. So keep your eyes peeled for that on the internet. It's good fun.
So it was Max on pole with George Russell P2, Hamilton third, and then Ricciardo fourth. Fair play to him. We slated him last week, and that was a good performance for him.
I feel like he came back to death as well. Like was it last lap set?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant drive from Ricciardo.
Yeah, and then you've got disappointment from the two number twos. Perez P7, Bottas P8, but he obviously had a 5-place penalty.
Yeah, that's bad from Bottas, right?
Yeah, well,
That's just bad.
Yeah.
He's 2.5 seconds slower than Hamilton,
Yeah.
and Perez is almost 2.5 seconds slower than Verstappen. So
There was a thing where Perez did an early lap, and then were him and Bottas close on the track for the end. That could have impacted both their time. Hamilton was ahead anyway. It was like Hamilton, Perez, Bottas. Or was that earlier on in the session?
Not sure.
Well, I'm going to say that and stick with it, and maybe that affected their times. One thing that annoyed me was that two people got George Russell started on the front row in Sakia, right?
yes,
Yes.
A certain commentator, I'm not going to say him name of because we're kicking him too hard, but was like, he didn't say it, but he was like, oh, and it's alluding to George Russell's first front row start, but I didn't quite get the exact wording, so okay, free pass. But then Matt Webber
he did say
interviewed him.
that.
Sorry?
Sorry, he did say that, but he added maybe as an afterthought in a Williams.
Right, okay, so there was a gap. So fair enough. Matt Webber didn't say that. He just went, well done for claiming your first front row start as his opening question.
Mark Webber is bloody awful.
He's so bad at the podium. Podium or post-qualifying interviews. What's going on there?
He is terrible at interviews. He's not great at commentating either, but he's shocking at interviews. I thought Sky were bad the other week, but Mark Webber takes it to another level.
he couldn't get his words out on all the questions. Like when he was talking to Hamilton, I don't have the exact wording, but if I did have it, I'd be here all week trying to. He did like one question fine, but the second or third one's like. But Lewis just didn't. Lewis answered politely, but just didn't answer his question because it was gibberish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they don't ask a question in a sentence. They're like speaking of like a paragraph, and they get lost halfway through.
Yeah.
And switch topics, and it's terrible. Just
I don't know
one
what that is.
sentence. How was your qualifying?
Yeah, I wonder
How
if
were
that
the
is
tyres?
a brief to elongate it or to fit in a certain number of questions, or they've got people talking in the ears. There's all these things that we don't know, right? But from the viewer perspective, the director, producers, and everybody involved just needs to say, yeah, short questions. Or just get Louise Goodman. She managed to do long questions and gets them out most of the time.
Yeah.
She used to do a Formula 1
That's
as
very
well,
true.
yeah. And she's got a media training business. They all need to go to her.
Yeah.
We've spoken a long time here about qualifying.
Yeah, well,
And,
Well,
that's the end, though, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, longer than we would have because there's feck all else to talk about.
Well, there was Perez celebrating his new contract.
Yeah, it's good that he's got a
Yeah.
contract. I think we called that, did we,
Yeah.
last week?
Yeah.
Great news for him. Unfortunately, bins it on the formation lap.
Easy to do, but it still
No,
shouldn't.
no.
Another step the other way.
No, I'm not giving that easy to do. It's the formation lap.
No one else did it.
Exactly.
That's true.
Like Verstappen last year, you didn't have to do that. You were driving too fast. Right, that's it. So, I'm not impressed with him.
Lucky that he started the race
Very lucky,
Well,
kind of.
to get 0 points.
Yeah. Yeah, they delay the start of the race. They delay the start of the race. They delay the start of the race. Then they delay the start of the race. And then they get going. And then they cancel the start of the race.
Mm-hmm.
And it was drier when they first postponed it than it was when they got going.
Mm-hmm.
Missed opportunity, maybe.
Should have just started behind the safety car. I probably wouldn't have got it going, but you would have had a legitimate thing to say, we've done 5 laps behind the safety car and tried. What instead happens is the red flag the race before it starts, suspends the start procedure. Nobody really knows if the race has started or not, or how many laps is going to happen, and if the clock has started, and we get 2 hours of speculation on if the clock started
Yes.
and how many laps are left. They then suspend the clock 2 hours in at the 3-hour window,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go out for 2 laps in a complete downpour, which is not drier than it ever was, and then stop after the finished 2 laps,
Mm-hmm.
which classifies it a race. Everyone gets half points. Nikita Mazepin gets the fastest lap, and it's a complete farce and a waste of my Sunday afternoon.
Good exposure for Mercedes, do you think? Road cars, that is.
Very much.
Yeah.
And I bet Aston Martin are kicking themselves that this wasn't around where they
Yeah.
when they had the safety car.
I kind of wanted, because they kept sending, was it Alan van der Merwe, I think his name is, in the medical car round,
Oh, right.
because the safety car was at the front of the pit queue. But I wanted them to send the safety car out as well, and then those two could at least have a race.
Yeah.
Yeah. He almost binned it a couple of times as well.
He did. He was sideways through a couple of the
Really?
chicanes. It was that was the best thing to watch
Yeah.
Was it a Merc as well?
in his estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I thought it was a complete farce the way it was handled. And what do you think about running for 2 laps just so that we had a classification and could give out half points and possibly avoided giving people refunds when they might have been due them? That's a sceptical picture.
I don't think it's
apparently
that.
that's not what it is, but
It is, and that's due to the circuit rather than Formula One.
yeah.
It did feel weird that there was a podium.
Yeah.
I know they probably got to do it, but then they did the whole. Did they do the whole national anthems and the champagne spraying and the champagne music?
Yep.
I didn't get to see it.
And it was just like,
I
oh,
just
this
turned
is weird.
off by that point.
I did see a
Yeah.
couple other things. There's a funny video going around social media today where there's like a safety car driving around the inner circuit area, and in front of the crowd, the marshals like stop him for a fake pit stop. And they
Yeah,
go,
I saw that.
That was quite funny. And then apparently the car park was like worse than Glastonbury Festival. It was just mud. They had tractors pulling everybody
Yeah.
out up until until long after it was dark. So I feel sorry for the people who waited, got wet, didn't get their money back, didn't see a race, and then got their car destroyed in a muddy field.
They were in good cheer, though. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
They kept cheering the medical car every time it went round.
Yeah. What else is it to do?
Yeah, but I mean, they could have just sat there bored. But I think they had no choice in terms of what they had to do in the end. But there needs to be better systems in place for this if it ever happens again. There needs to be a better
Well, they're having a meeting,
thing.
so we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Just quickly, while I mentioned access roads, I forgot to mention this the other week. There's not a clear video on YouTube, but when there is an onboard one at some point, I'll share it with you both, and everybody listening should watch it. The WRC, the World Rally Championship, had the Belgian Rally Ypres recently. On the final day, they did 2 stages repeated, so 4 stages at Spa, and you've never seen Spa like it. They start in the village, they'd race down the roads, then they come on the access roads, past the Portaloos, then onto the track. Then they do another one where they start at the other village and they come onto the other half of the track. And they're using the pit lane and, like this access road. You saw that video of the fake pit stop and stuff. They actually rallied down it and then came out of the barrier onto the track. It's really bizarre. That was more interesting than this race, obviously.
Well, yeah.
I've got a controversial tweet as well to read out. Will this get us removed from the internet? I don't know. TV's Top Gears. Chris Harris tweeted something so bad he deleted it, apparently. He got a lot of abuse and deleted it. But someone screenshotted it, and I'm going to read it out. This is during... Understand the concerns, but this isn't the best look for F1. Tell the drivers not to be dicks. Run behind the safety car for a bit to clear some water and get on with it. They're paid big bucks because it's a risky sport. Don't fancy it? Let someone else have a go. Send tweet.
I do see his point.
I see a
I
point.
don't quite agree with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a few of them said it wasn't too wet to drive. It was too much spray to see where they were going. There was enough grip on the track.
Right. Not
but
sure
they
you can
couldn't
do about
see
that. Maybe the aerodynamics
rain
are bringing up
lights.
more spray, or the tyres. I don't know.
Well, that's what Gasly has said now. He said they need to look at changing the spray, basically.
Right.
So there isn't as much spray coming off the cars, but I'm not sure how they can do that.
No, I'm not sure they can do that because you'd have to test it somewhere with 2 cars on a permanently wet track. That's expensive.
Well, the new regulations next year are going to have the airflow coming straight up out of the cars, aren't they? To try and get the dirty air away from the cars behind. So is that going to help with the spray, or is that just going to launch it higher and make it
It's
worse?
probably going to make it worse if you're launching the air directly upwards.
Yeah.
Although you could... It's probably launching some out the driver's eye line, where now it's just getting fired at the driver behind.
Vettel laid a little hint of it being to do with Pirellis as well.
It could be.
So we didn't have this problem with the Bridgestones.
It did.
But then they had completely different aerodynamics
Yeah, that
then
doesn't
as
make
well.
sense.
So
Different rules completely. It could even be asphalt, like if the circuit's been relayed or all sorts. Anyway.
Something still doesn't sit right with me that they've classified a race result after 2 parade laps in qualifying.
Half points as well, yeah.
The half points is what makes it a bit more acceptable to me, but in principle that is a farce and they need to change the rules because that's not on.
I think having the rule as completing 2 laps to get the half points, they kind of just had to do it. But that rule needs to be changed. I think that's the way to do it.
It's not as easy as this either, but in NASCAR they just do it on the Monday or the Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't think there was a provision to do it because they're in Zandvoort this weekend. And also, as they said during the commentary many times, the marshals wouldn't be available.
Well,
because
they are in NASCAR.
But they're paid, aren't they?
I don't know, probably.
Yeah. So I don't think there was provision to do it, but they need to get something to allow that to happen in future as well.
Yeah, tricky one though, isn't it? I know I'm saying if it's in a facetious fashion. I'm not genuinely believing it's possible, but that is the example people were saying, and it's true. I
don't know if they could do something where they just reward like a minimum amount of points for qualifying positions, like maybe 10-1 for the top 10.
Every qualifying session.
No. I mean, if a race has to be abandoned,
right, yeah, backup plan.
Because the qualifying kind of has to be recognised in some way, I think. But I don't know.
Tricky one. What would you do, Colin? Sack the lot of them. be done.
Yeah, sack the auto and stick us in the cars. We'll race in the wet. No, I mean, points are given out for the race or a sprint, and the qualifying's neither. So that's it. Artificially giving out points doesn't seem right, but I tend to kind of agree with you, Nick. If they can't run the race, give a 10-1 for qualifying. That seems the fairest. Bring back the old scoring system for that. No, that was only 8, wasn't it?
Oh
It
yeah,
was only 6 originally.
6 and 8. Yeah. So 10-1. Yeah, I'll go with that. UFA president. I'm voting for you next time.
Nice.
So yeah, driver standings down to 3 points at the top.
who's leading?
Was Hamilton.
Ah, okay.
Hamilton says it was a farce that was run. Alonso says it was a complete farce that was run. Perez missed out on points because he crashed.
Oh, look at that, 202.5.
Yeah. And so it promoted a couple of cars into points. So yeah.
Alf,
Owen Stroll got a penalty,
did he?
which I thought was hilarious.
What?
How?
Because they changed his rear wing
Oh, they did.
during the downtime,
They did, yeah.
and they were going to give him a drive-through penalty if the race ever started, but it didn't. So they gave him a time penalty on his standings.
Alfa Romeo spitting feathers, right?
Yeah, they're raging.
Yeah, I can understand why, but I still don't see what else they could have done at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're all-
I saw a crazy rumor today that Raikkonen is retired and the Bottas deal is done to get him in Alpha.
the drivers were all a bit coy over the weekend of the question. Normally there's like a straight denial.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas George
Interesting.
was asked, do you know what's happening? Are you waiting on other things to move? And he just said yes. Bottas kind of hinted, maybe I know what's happening, I just want to talk about it. So I think it's all kind of settled as well.
Toto did say that.
He says he's
said
made
the
his mind.
decision has been made,
Yeah.
and that they're delaying the sort of presentation of it until whoever the driver that hasn't got the drive has got a drive of their own.
Which is Bottas.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
and there was rumours floating about the Twitterverse today, which means that they're true, obviously.
Oh yeah, I got that from Twitter. There you go.
Yeah, that Red Bull are apparently pushing for Alex Albon to get the Williams seat, whereas Mercedes are pushing for some of their F2 drivers to get it.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, yes, I'm kicking myself as well because the other week we're like, oh, who does Mercedes have on their payroll? But I've got Stoffel Van Dorn and is it Nick De Vries who's just become an FIA world champion in Formula E?
Mm-hmm.
I believe
Yeah.
it's Nick De Vries that they're mostly pushing for Mercedes to get in the Williams.
Well, he is a world champion now because this is the first year Formula E is an FIA approved world championship for drivers.
Mm-hmm. And he was the F2 champion as well.
Yeah.
So he does have pedigree.
That'd be good.
Alex Albon and a Williams would be interesting, no?
Bizarre.
That would be 5 Red Bull drivers on the grid, essentially, although I imagine there'd be a break in his Red Bull contract. But still, that would be quite interesting to see how he does.
I'd like to see it.
I'm sure Kvyat is still trying to get a seat somewhere as well.
Is he Alpine Reserve?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't see him coming back, to be honest.
Oh, no, I don't.
I think he
But
deserves it.
I can see him trying.
Yeah. Anyway. Wow, we've managed to go a long time with 0 race. That's good. There was a lot of controversy to talk about, so it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the only kind of interesting thing is that the McLaren-Ferrari fight's now 3.5 points towards McLaren.
Ooh, Ferrari. Coming at you.
And we weren't the level last time. Now Mercedes McLaren are a couple ahead.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Williams are on 20 points now.
That's mad.
Alfa Romeo's on 3 and Haas are on 0. So I think that's the bottom 3 pretty much sorted for the year.
But
Yeah.
fastest lap
For
in the
Nikita
history
Mazepin.
books forever and ever.
It should be a fastest lap, though. It wasn't a
I
racing
know,
lap.
it's so dumb.
It shouldn't be bloody points, it wasn't a race.
Yeah.
So, shall we get on to British Touring Cars?
Yes. Let's get on to some racing.
Qualifying. Robot was on pole with Hill and Cook behind. Butcher, Alfred, Morgan, Sutton, Lloyd, Turkington. Surprise was Shedden down in 14th, but he had an off on his fast lap.
Had some
Lost it.
issues. Had his brakes on fire in the pits at one point. And
didn't see any of that.
well, it could have just been one brakes, but it was. And apparently, his fastest lap was on used tyres. There was a weird interview. I don't know if you saw it, where Louise Goodman on race day was asking him about qualifying, and he said there's a load of issues. He said, "Oh, what issues?" And he just wouldn't say. So she went, "Oh, so you're skating past it then?" Is that
Was Dan Camish in the back of the garage somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know. I know a few people had moments. Hamilton spun and Jade Edwards went off slightly. Otherwise, it was relatively quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Moffat was 18th. I thought he was anonymous all weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's all that about? We've been talking him up recently, and that's what you get.
Yeah, and Jade Edwards, I thought, did well in 19th. Considering the cars that she beat.
Mm-hmm.
She had a bad weekend, really, because of weird stuff. But yeah, you're right. She was good at qualifying there. Much improved.
So, race 1.
Yeah.
Race 1. Cook takes Hill off the line, which is a common theme of the day. Whoever starts in third immediately gets past second place in every race because the grid's wrong. And it's does not. The track's too wide. And
Is that what it is?
They're like 6 car widths apart, and whoever's in second just goes straight past them every time. So Cook takes second from Hill, and then Oliphant gets Rowbottom.
Yep.
Runs Rowbottom out wide for the complex, and he ends up dropping down to fourth from pole, and then never really recovered. So we've got Cook in the lead, who is apparently the Thruxton expert.
Well, it seems that way because he's not. Well, he had some ballast on board as well, right? So fair play on that.
Yeah, I think he had 30 odd kilos, but yeah, the king of Thruxton, as they've now been called.
Yeah, because he won 2 races earlier this year, right? So and he was imperious from that point on. I mean, Hill and Oliphant were close, but the top 3 just disappeared and there wasn't anything going on.
No. Oliphant did get past Hill, but then I think Hill retook it. Back up into second.
It was a dive. Was it at the final chicane?
Memories.
It was a dive bomb, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside, he went round the outside. It was amazing. At the last chicane, like row bottom style, as we call it now, I guess.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant because he got back into line before even getting into the corner.
It didn't make any sense.
No.
But there's this whole thing of maybe the BMWs take a couple of laps to warm up tyres.
That's true.
And it was almost like he drove with that in mind. It was so weird. Like, obviously making a move was that in mind, but he was like, oh, but then also, there's going to be space for me to pull in and make the apex on the normal line. It's like, what? Yeah, incredible driving that. Good one from Jake Hill.
Then Paul Rivette has a spin and exit to church. He runs it wide while he's side by side with someone.
Code
I think
Brown.
it was one of the. I think it was Bordley.
Yeah.
He's side by side way.
Going sideways to the grass seemed to damage the side of his car. That was really weird. Well, made a load of sense, but yeah. A lot of grass issues this weekend, which is not something you get in Formula 1 because there's no grass. But no. Unless they go to Suzuka. But obviously at Thruxton, that's your runoff area, which is sketchy, but I still like it. I mean, it's frustrating if someone goes off slightly and fills a radiator up and has to retire, but that's the risk of racing, right? If it was a wall, you'd break your car. So
yeah,
it was kind of refreshing to see it in a way, I felt.
Ingram's fighting with Proctor, and then straight lines the last chicane. He was on the outside of the penultimate corner and ended up straight lining the chicane. And then I think it was 2 laps that kept Proctor behind. Proctor was flashing his lights and everything. And then Ingram let it pass, which, to be honest, I thought that he should have done immediately because he kept position, and then Proctor's lost at least a lap before he gets past. I think it was 2, but he lost at least 1. And yeah, I thought Tom should have given it right away.
I think so as well. I don't know if he was deliberately taking his time over it so as it would spread the rest of the cars out a bit more, because he did say he was thinking about it for a couple of laps whether should he or shouldn't he give it back, but I don't know if that was just him trying to pretend.
Yeah,
not too sure.
It wasn't like Proctor was ahead, but he was definitely close enough to where he would have had a go into the chicane.
Yeah.
Or at least had a chance to get past.
More on that chicane later.
Yeah. Rory Butcher then has a completely mad dive up the inside of Rowbottom into complex.
Yeah, and I can't believe Paul O'Neill didn't call it a big hip and shoulder like he does every other time.
He just fires up the inside, and somehow they both stay on the track, and Rowbottom keeps the place.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got away with that.
Every time they cut on board with Rory Butcher or show him, it looks like he's about to have a massive crash, because he's always on the edge or always doing something quite dangerous and aggressive.
I just don't trust it.
Yeah.
I don't trust him.
No.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
No, it always ends in tears at some point for him.
It's like watching Chris Meakin to BRC, but that's another reference for another time.
Dan Lloyd then got a 5-second penalty for an out-position start.
Thank goodness the graphics are fixed. We've covered that before. But
Yes.
Yep. I don't know how. It seems to be this track breeds dodgy starts for a lot of people, which I don't really understand.
I don't understand.
Is it maybe because it starts on a corner?
Yeah, there's got to be something there. Until we're sat in a car on that grid, it's hard to tell, right? But yeah, Plato got it in. It's like we lost a year, right? 2019, and he was kicking off for ages, right? And that set the template, because then this has been a real common thing all year, actually, hasn't it? At every race weekend, there seems to be a 5-second penalty for this, because the rule is you can't have your splitter over the line, which changes.
Yes.
Daft.
I think it's daft. That in the past you'd have the wheels on the line, and then the length of your car in front is whatever the length is, right? You can feel where the wheels are. I don't know. I feel like it's easier to line up the wheels on the line than it is your bumper. Well, clearly it is.
Yeah.
I agree. It's not. I don't think that's right.
Sutton in this race took an interesting line. I feel like we talk about it too much, and I feel like the commentary talks about him too much. But he's a legend, and he's amazing. They're talking about how it's not just a soft setup, but it's the entire geometry of the car has been deliberately designed when they made the new Infinity chassis around this whole softer setup. And we were saying at Knockhill, he had this line over it where it was like a big leap over the chicane, but he would like use it sparingly. He had a similar one at Church, at Thruxton, where he'd almost be 4 wheels over that curb if he wanted to make a move down the next straight. I'm not sure he used it often, but certainly you could see occasionally he would cut a lot more of the inside than everyone else, because the car clearly can ride that. It's not as unsettled as everybody else. Yeah.
But I was thinking about it as well, in that people keep saying how good that Infinity is, but it's how good it is in Ash Sutton's hands.
Yeah, this is what was frustrating me.
It was the same with the Subaru, and it was the same in some ways with the MG.
How long does it take before people just say he and the setup and the engineers and the philosophy of the car all working together is the package, right?
Yeah.
Rather than, it sounds like they're making it sound like, it's got. I was watching the commentary thinking, they're going to peg back the Infinity now, aren't they? They're talking up the advantage of it so much, but it's the unit, it's the package, it's everything together. I agree with you there, Nick, and it's starting to wind me up a little bit.
Yeah, and the fact that he spent all winter doing his testing with full ballast to be used to it. He said he didn't do any laps with low ballast in winter testing.
Wow. Yeah.
Clever man. He's too good for touring cars, isn't he?
He is. He needs another drive somewhere. I don't know where he would go though, but WEC, IMSA prototypes in America, supercars in Australia.
I
don't know if GTK 3 cars would World Rallycross. Oh yeah, that would suit him, right?
Yeah,
that's a great shout.
I would.
There's a crossover from touring cars to rallycross because it's short, sharp, and elbows out,
violent,
hip and shoulders. Yeah, and I just wish more than anything that he gets a drive in another series. I don't think GT cars would work for him.
No.
Yeah, something that's a bit rough and tough, edgy. Come on, he delivered the goods.
He did. And then was it Nick Hamilton, I think, then had a lovely moment at Church as well.
Ooh, another scary one. No crashes from either though, right?
No.
So that's good.
Butcher then took 4th through the complex, and Sutton followed him
Mm-hmm.
to get past Robottom.
Robottom faded away in this one.
He did, yeah.
Stunning lap in qualifying, superb effort. In the race, just wasn't quite there. Bit of a shame. Still good for Robottom, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the what used to be the works Honda just doesn't seem to get on par with the BTC one this year.
yeah, weird that. I think there's a
Every
driver
race
thing there,
meet,
Mm.
yeah, in every race meet, the BTC just looks more comfortable in the race.
Yeah, because Cook's had his off weekends, but Proctor during those off weekends has upheld the honour, right?
Yeah.
So there's always been a BTC up there. And interestingly, the BTC has a Swindon engine now, right? I don't know if that's a factor.
I'm not sure. I know traditionally the Team Dynamics have always run the Neil Brown ones.
Yeah, they still do this
Yeah.
year. Yeah. I don't think that was a factor, but I'm also not sure BTC was even present at the mid-season test. You know, but I'm not going to say that outright. So please, someone let me know on Twitter at Tom H. Lord. Was I right or wrong about
I
that?
think they were, because I think Proctor
Were
was
they?
fastest.
Okay, take that
I
back.
think.
That's a good
That's
point.
hesitant.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. Alden.
Yeah, that as well.
Oh god. Let's move on from that swiftly.
Yes. Then it was Plato, wasn't it? It was stuck behind Ingram.
Yeah, so Proctor gets past Ingram, but then Plato gets stuck behind him for ages. But through the corners, he's clearly quicker.
Well, yeah, but clearly Plato was teaching Ingram how to defend.
Oh, I just got that. That took me a while to. Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
It takes about 10 laps, but it gets
It's too
past.
long.
Yeah.
It's too long for the car speed differential he had in that race.
Yeah, it was a nice move, but it
Really
got
good
to
move.
lap 15, which I think was the second last lap.
Although there's a bit of rubbish. It's not him. I think it's a bit unfortunate. It almost like Ingram turns into his back right wheel a bit almost, or it's hard to tell from that angle. And
Yeah.
They both sort of awkwardly go through the chicane. Ingram cuts it, and Turkington nearly gets all of them.
Yeah.
He gets some, but then Ingram gets past.
Plato
I think back
walks.
through the complex. He goes around the outside.
Yeah. But it was a
Interesting.
nice move on Ingram, though. I know Ingram had the weight, but it was still a nice move. But yeah, just took too long.
It was straight around the outside. Yeah.
10 laps too late.
Yeah, because the pack in front there had disappeared. I can't drive, so I feel like I've been too critical of him recently. It was a really good move. And
was.
It was almost Turkington-esque, where he stalked for ages and ages and then made the one decisive move.
Yeah.
I would say, though, that on board, I don't think he was that much slower, or if at all, than the Hyundai. Although, of course, the Hyundai had ballast on it, so it's not a fair comparison. But on those complaints that we mentioned before about Plato talking about straight line speed, I think he's changed his tune a bit. I feel like at the start, maybe he was lobbying, maybe I was wrong here, for like, it's the Swindon engine, the Tonka engine, but it's not.
No.
But he did actually say in an interview, maybe it's because our car is too old hat in terms of its aerodynamic profile. And we've mentioned this before. Now, I think you might have corrected me in saying that, they were newer chassis. But it seems like, to me, that even like the Cooper at the start of the year and the Hyundai and the Toyota, they're like newer generation road cars.
Yeah.
And there's some, there are shared parts, but there is something you can do with the makeup of the chassis, I'm sure of it.
Well, the chassis was brand new, but obviously the body shells weren't.
But the design might not be, and the body shells might not be. Yeah, exactly. So there's something there. So he did actually talk about that, which I thought was interesting. And he also mentioned intercooler design, which is an area where you can fabricate your own thing or get a company to do it. And it's not a shared part. And Team Dynamics in 2019, or was it the 2020, I believe, they upgraded their intercooler over the BTC cars, which had the same engine. And was it Chilton drove for BTC last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was saying, the Dynamics cars are quicker on a straight line. And the conclusion was, the only difference is they've got this new intercooler package. And Plato was also talking about that maybe they need to go look and develop the intercooler package to try and get some more speed out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Maybe they
two
have.
two areas you can actually develop in the British Touring Car Championship is the choice of aerodynamic body style and the chassis rigidity and where you mount stuff, and then also intercoolers. And that's really boring, and I rambled on a lot. So race 2, please. Sorry.
Well, there was still the one lingering thing. Where did Sam Smelt finish?
Oh,
And
he was in the pits, wasn't he?
he was 26th and lapped. But,
He was on TV because he was being lapped or nearly lapped.
well, when Paul Rivette lost it out of church, Sam Smelt took to the grass in avoidance. And I did think at the time that he probably had to pit to clear out the Rads, and then he was 45 seconds behind after that.
Not ideal.
So, yeah.
When he was ahead of Butcher, though, and Butcher was fighting for position, right? But they didn't catch him.
No, that's true.
At that point in the race, he had enough speed. So it goes to show sometimes if you qualify higher up, you'll have a overall better weekend, I think. Wow, that's the most obvious statement ever said on a Motorsport podcast.
I hope
So
he gets
far.
up to speed soon.
Yeah.
I like that car. I hope he gets up to speed.
They need two tires at the sharp end, don't they?
They do.
Yeah. So, good win for Cook.
Yes.
He took fastest lap as well. Jake Hill, I don't think he's won a race this year.
Nope.
But
It's still only ever one race in touring cars.
Yeah.
is it?
In the
So
Audi.
he's-
Yeah. Well, he won
Since-
2 on track because he got was it disqualified or penalised when he took Matt Neal
Yeah.
out at Alton?
Race 2, then. Same story at start again. Third place takes second off the line. Aaron Taylor-Smith retired on the formation lap. I think he had a drive shaft failure.
Oh, yeah. And that almost delayed the start, right? Well, it did kind of, but I always thought, another warm-up lap and restart and all this, but they got it going.
Yep, and then it was Butcher managed to get up to third for the complex, and then it was 3 wide for third.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
As Sutton kind of squeezed through the middle of both.
I
Hill
don't
and
understand
Butcher.
how he got a run at that point.
I
But I
know.
think off camera, Hill and Butcher had contact around that right-hander.
Possibly. I saw Hill got back underneath Butcher.
Yeah, you
That's
just
what
saw it
saw
as
that.
something was going to happen and it cut away. And
Yeah.
you just sort of think, well,
And then Sutton just suddenly drove through the middle of the pair of them.
I think there's been a bit of a rub.
Butcher had damage later in the race, but I wasn't sure if it came later when he was fighting Ingram or he
I
maybe
think
got
it
a bit
did.
here.
Ingram, they showed an onboard where Ingram hit the back of his car.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the damage came from that. But I was questioning it as well. Like, where's that come from?
But hell of a move by Sutton again.
Yeah.
Again.
They're going to end up paying back that Infinity, aren't they?
Even though if it's a Sutton advantage, not an Infinity advantage. Actually,
Yeah, 'cause-
another thing is, by the way, the rear-wheel drive starts. I don't think if you watch Sutton, he doesn't get a great start. All the Infinities, they don't leap off the line like the BMWs do.
No. And the rear-wheel drive starts have definitely been curtailed quite a lot.
Nullified. They have, but even so, it to me is a WSR advantage on that front. How they set up the software or the boost or the suspension or the gear ratio, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Because even with the Subaru days, the BMW still started better than the Subaru. So anyway,
Yeah, the Rob Collard factor.
the Rob Collard factor, exactly right.
Yeah.
I missed the Rob Collard factor.
I don't.
Ah,
Both Hondas have an issue.
bad form.
Yeah.
Yes,
Terrible.
Dan Rowbottom and Sheridan both, I think, pit at that point. Tuckton pulls a nice move on Adam Morgan, and then we cut to a replay where Jed Edwards jumps to start,
Bad.
stops,
Well-
and then goes again.
The thing about that was it was so bad that it wasn't even considered a jump start because she went so early and then stopped that it was classified as an out of position start.
Ah,
Yeah.
It wasn't a jump start because the lights hadn't
No.
even come on yet.
No. I don't understand what she was looking at. She maybe was like looking down at her dash and all of a sudden realised there was no light.
Yeah.
she might have gone when the
Alright.
lights came on. Or
Maybe, I don't know. But
as opposed to off. Yeah, weird. I don't know.
Maybe it was a delay at the start. If there was a wait for Taylor
that's
Smith,
true,
it maybe
yeah.
threw her off. She maybe wasn't paying attention and just thinking it must be time to go.
Maybe it's like
But-
there was a rumor back in the early Williams F1 day when they used to get really good starts in the early noughties, right? Where their start was actually set to the world clock when the race starts, as opposed to the lights going out or something weird.
yeah, because they always used to start at a set time and then they brought in a randomization factor to it.
Yeah,
didn't they? Apparently.
right. So maybe Jade Edwards has got that.
It could be. But yeah, that was so. Especially when they showed the replay, because they showed the replay first of her, like just parked at the back of whoever was in front of her.
Yeah, at least she stopped.
Yeah,
There's that classic clip I mentioned before in Australia where the guy on pole he just goes.
yeah,
I made it wrong. I'm going. See
Yeah.
ya. He gets a penalty. That means he's still in the lead.
yeah. That was brilliant.
Oh.
That was in the Utes, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. That's what
Pastor
I would do.
Maldonado, didn't he do that at Spa 2012 when Grosjean had his massive crash?
Oh, he might have done. Yeah, you're right. He got a massive false start, didn't he?
Yeah, and went flying up to like second. Oh, Pastor. Just trying to think the last drivers that were on the podium for Williams. It must go Maldonado,
That's it.
Massa,
Oh yeah, Massa. Yeah.
Bottas,
Yeah.
Stroll, and then Russell.
Yeah.
Oh, Stroll got.
Yeah,
of
Baku,
course,
wasn't
good
it?
Shout.
And Monza.
Stroll.
Didn't he get
Monza, yeah.
podium at both?
Oh wow, I've forgotten
Oh.
the Stroll podiums. That's a good shout.
Monza, he did definitely got Monza and Racing Point last year. I think you might be right though about the.
Or did he qualify
Oh.
really strongly at Monza in the Williams?
I think he was on the front row at one Monza race or one Spa race. Anyway, we're on
Yeah.
the touring cars.
Sidetrack.
Sidetrack. Sutton gets back off it real nice on the start line, cut underneath at the chicane, gave him the inside for turn one. Thought it was nice. He done that twice in this race. Butcher and Ingram are fighting again because
Why not?
that's just
what
all
they
the
do.
time. Yeah. And then it was lap 11. Sutton managed to get past Cook for the lead. Exact same moves he pulled on Oliphant.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
Thruxton has a decent race. He's on 0 weights, so he gets up to 7th, getting past Proctor. Then lap 15, it kicks off between Butcher and Ingram. Butcher runs wide for turn
It's
1.
going on for ages. This
Yeah.
Butcher's holding him up back for a while, isn't he?
Yeah, he runs wide for the exit of turn 1 on lap 15, and then Ingram managed to get past him through the complex. And Tuckington tries to nick through as well, but Butcher is really aggressive in his defence. Manages to keep it.
Oh yeah, Turkington's 2 wheels over that curb on the inside. I thought, oh, here we go. Here's a big crash.
Yeah.
It was unnatural aggressive from him, but Butcher just shut the door, wasn't having it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Turkington risked it for a biscuit there.
I think he needs to at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
It's not Sutton's so consistently good. People are going to have to start taking bigger risks.
Yeah.
And then it all goes wrong for Tom Ingram.
Oh yeah, disaster that, because that
Yeah.
could have been a good race 3 grid position and all that.
As he gets a puncture and is creeping towards the line. I think he got it before the chicane.
He got it just before church, apparently.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh wow, that could have been a big accident.
Yeah, because you saw on the replay they showed it. He went off at church because the puncture had already happened, but apparently he had it on the run up to church,
Oh right.
which is probably better than through it.
Yeah, definitely. Rare to see a well, it was only punch of the weekend, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But Thruxton used to always be puncher central.
Yeah.
They changed the tyres and they're much more resilient, and they've changed the curbs a bit. So that was a weird one.
Yeah, he drops all the way down to 12th. And
Still
something
finished,
always
though,
happens. Yeah, something always happens to Ingram.
Yeah.
At least this time it wasn't self-inflicted.
Well,
Yeah.
we still don't know how he got the puncture. Is the
Very
other thing.
true. True. Whether it was debris or he's attacked the curb too hard.
Yeah.
Or...
Because they always used to say you should stay off the curbs for the first couple of laps, but I haven't heard them say that
Yeah.
for a few years.
No, they don't really do that anymore, I don't think.
No. But it meant that Sutton won with Josh Cook in second, and he took the fastest lap again.
Yeah.
Yeah, this,
Often third.
just quickly on that, Cook stayed with Sutton,
Yeah.
which was impressive.
Although he
Obviously Sutton
did
smashed it.
say afterwards he thought that Sutton was just gapping him.
Stroking it home, yeah.
Yeah, I know that phrase is not great.
That is not a PG phrase. Do not Google that, children. Yeah, Tom Oliphant third, Hill did well to finish fourth with weight on. And yeah, Tuckington was pretty strong at 6.
Yeah, I've completely forgot Oliphant was in this race until they had a post-race interview.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, where's this guy come from? 2 podiums in a row.
Yeah, there wasn't much of it.
No.
It was a
Jack
quiet weekend
Mitchell.
all round.
Yeah, Jack Mitchell retired in the Cupra, but
Oh,
didn't
right.
see why.
Oh, I missed that. Tom Chilton, another poor weekend so far.
Yeah, that seems to be par for the course at the moment.
Oh, he did say something interesting, but I'll come to that in a bit. The grid draw was funny. So it goes to Ash Sutton, and neither him or Steve Ryder can really hear each other.
Yeah.
And so he pulls it out, and then he just walks off. But Steve Ryder's asking him a question.
Yeah. And he's
Oh,
still
so what
reading
do you
out the
think
names
about-
as well, isn't he?
Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Oh,
Yeah, he's still reading out who is in positions 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and Ash has already just said, well, it's number 8. Doesn't really matter.
It's brilliant.
And we shouldn't forget that Sam Smelt finished 22nd.
Oh, how could I forget? I forget every time, man.
I'm going to feel bad if Sam Smelt ever hears this.
I know. Well, sorry. And Jason Plato.
It's not out of hatred.
And David Croft.
Well,
I hope he does well because I like that car.
we did start the season basically saying he wasn't good enough, to be fair, in our previews. But we've kind of adopted him as a pet.
Right, yeah. It's a loving call-out.
Yeah. It was strange. Before, I think we said before it was strange given his lack of experience, but I think we all said at the start we hope he becomes good.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I
We
hope
mean
he
well.
does. We mean well. It's all fun and games. So Adam Morgan's on pole, and then Ford takes second off the line, funnily enough.
It's unusual.
Yeah. So Tuckerton gets second, and then it gets really tight through turn 1 between, I think, Oliphant and Butcher. There's a couple of other cars side by side, and then Jade Edwards must hate going round there, must hate
She
Thruxton.
loves the Allard wall.
Oh dear. Shedden tries to nick through the middle of, I think is it Taylor Smith?
Hamilton.
Is it Hamilton and Edwards? And his rear left catches the front right of Edwards, and they both go flying into the barrier.
Not good for Shedden, not good for
No.
Edwards. Just not good luck. Heavy damage to the BTC car.
Yeah. I still can't believe Shedden drove that back to the pits either.
Well, yeah, that was crazy. Do you know what, though? Did you see... She gets out, and she's raging.
Yeah.
She, like, gesticulates at him, slams the door, she comes around to the car, she points her finger, "Ugh," and then he reverses away. I was like, that's why you've made it back to the pits.
It wasn't really his fault to be. It's more his fault than Jade's, but
Correct.
there wasn't
It's
much
just
that could have been
unfortunate.
done.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Hamilton moved slightly, Shedden reacted slightly more, and there was just no room.
There is more space to his Shedden's right, but he sort of reacted to a movement, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's just one of those things, I think.
Certainly not what Andy Neat did early on
No.
in the year. So.
I feel bad for BTC because I've had quite a few big repairs
Yeah,
already,
right.
and that's going to be another pretty big rebuild.
They don't have many sponsors.
No, and I don't know if Jade has to cover her own costs as well,
Yeah, I don't know.
because some of the drivers
Probably.
do have to cover some of their accident damage.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be some sponsorship fundraising in the next few weeks. Get that car back going.
Well, now
So
Bert Taylor's no longer at the team. We don't get emails and LinkedIn messages from him. I'd beg him for sponsorship, which is quite refreshing. But I don't know how the team is funded, and it's not for us to speculate, I guess. But
No.
Cook's got a load of sponsorship on his car, so that's good. The others seem a bit little light, let's say.
So safety car.
Although before the safety car, Jake Hill did manage to sneak past Rory Butcher as well, just before the safety car was deployed.
Oh, I missed that.
Did he? Yeah, I must have missed that.
Well, then safety car.
Yes.
Then safety car. Adam Morgan goes real late on the restart. It does the proper
Yeah,
Magello
that was a bit
restart.
Magello.
Silly.
What did that remind you of? Of the Magello? Any BTC reference there? BTCC reference?
Yes, but I can't think what it is.
I'm going to go with Tom Boardman at Knockhill.
Ah, yes.
Can you remember when Tom Boardman won at Knockhill by taking out Plato? And Plato went mental. Right this up. They came over
Vaguely.
turn one and he tapped him and Plato went spearing off into the barriers. So that's a infamous incident. Big thing. Plato takes out his steering wheel, throws it in the car, and it's like, oh man. And I would be annoyed with him. It was that year when, must be 2011, where he was in a naturally aspirated and other people had turbos.
Mm-hmm.
So he was raging about that all year. Anyway, what people forget is, in the safety car restart, coming down to the Knockhill hairpin, the safety car's coming in, lights are off, right? Boardman's got control. He sort of goes, but then stops at the hairpin, so everybody behind crashes into each other. And I thought, oh, here we go, this is it. But Morgan kept his speed, but it was just like, wow. Everyone was bunching over the start-finish straight, weren't they?
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain, they only showed it on a replay briefly, Carl Baldy went off
Did he?
Alright.
on the straight, yeah.
Ah.
He was trying to avoid someone else in front of him who was bunching or slowing or not gone, and he'd obviously gone and ended up on the grass on the left.
There was a
Paul O'Neill did say that he thought there was going to be investigations because people were overtaking before the line.
Yes, but it was the end of the day, Paul, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah, there is investigations into that.
Oh, is there?
They will be held at Croft.
Ah, Ingram was definitely alongside someone, but I don't know if he backed out. I'll be interested. Oh, I keep saying interesting to see, but for me, Baldley overtook someone on the grass and then came back on the track. so
Yeah, it
let's see
doesn't
what
say
happens.
who, but it does say a number of drivers will be investigated for potentially overtaking before the line.
Right. Well,
But I think
we'll
Morgan
keep our
might
eyes
get
peeled on that.
told off for that as well.
He might do, yeah.
So this will be a provisional result for this race.
The Shedden Edwards incident is also going to be investigated in Croft.
All of the incidents in race 3 will be investigated.
Oh,
at
yeah.
Croft.
Yeah, so they were clearly getting out of their
Yeah,
sharpest.
it's just hanging around here.
Yeah.
Let's move the bus.
Yeah.
So Ingram gets around Sutton through the chicane at the restart, and I think he probably did back out of it
Yeah,
rather than try and fight it, but it did let Plato squeeze through, and then Smiley managed to get through as well through the complex, I think it was.
yeah.
So Ash has got a lead, but he did lose 3 spaces there. I mean, he probably could have fought it a bit harder.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to. But
Yeah. True.
Then we see Sam Smelt in the wall.
yeah, still not entirely sure how.
Yeah,
No.
quite far in at Campbell, right?
Yeah, it was completely looked like he just went straight on, but all the replay showed was Bordley spinning around. I'm still not convinced he was touched or not because I couldn't really tell from the angle, but it looked like he was.
I felt Alan Taylor-Smith had a part to play in that.
Yeah,
But you're right, it's not
that's
conclusive.
all we saw.
So.
Because Sam Smelt was
But
behind.
Smelt's behind him. Yeah,
he's like
I'm wondering.
2 or 3 cars behind that.
Yeah, pure speculation that Bordley's spun around and unsighted Smelt's clipped him somehow and like broken part of the car.
Yeah, it's the only reason I don't think of for going straight on into the barrier. There.
Yeah. Especially if Bordley, like, it looked like he floored the throttle, so it might have started spinning and then gone the other way
Yeah,
unexpectedly, which he did at Cobb earlier on in the year. It wasn't his fault to be punted, but then it kept sort of spinning and it took out Butcher, if you remember.
yeah.
I think he needs to either lift off or brake or steer, do something different in the reaction. But we didn't see it, so this is completely out of order.
I did try and trawl YouTube to see if anyone had a fan clip of it.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I couldn't
good
find
one.
anything.
Fair enough.
Bordley seemed like he was getting up to speed at Knock Hill last week, but it was a kind of step back again.
Yeah,
Both him and
this
Moffat
round.
were slow around here.
Yeah. I'm not going to praise Ash Sutton again, but
yeah.
Oh, Ollie Jackson was also missing this weekend. I don't know what was going on there.
Well, speaking of, he'll be appearing
of.
shortly.
yeah. Ingram. Was it Ingram?
It was.
Outside of Oliphant. Which corner was it though? I
That
can't
was
remember.
it.
Nobles.
Oh,
Was
yeah,
it
that
Noble
was good.
or Nobles? I'm
No
not
Bill,
sure.
I think.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I classified that as a ballsy move
Haha.
because he was
Yeah,
right
that
on the
was-
marbles all the way around the outside, and he just
Yeah,
kept
yeah,
it
yeah.
pinned.
That was good.
Plus he gets the fastest lap as well at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the safety car, number 2.
Yep.
We don't see what happened here either, do we?
No, that was for the Sam Smelt recovery.
There was just a delay in putting the safety car out.
Oh, sorry.
It was like a lap later, I think, that they brought the safety car out.
Right.
Which would probably actually add credence to the fact that there was maybe a breakage in the suspension, because maybe they thought they could just move the car and then realised
Push
they
it.
couldn't.
Yeah. Maybe.
Restart again.
Yep. And
Actually, on that, I think Ingram almost got past Elor in the lap. I think it was Campbell.
Oh, okay.
But he had to back out because there was still a yellow flag out.
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
But then he managed to get him further around.
Oh,
for
I just
safety
remembered
car.
he drove into the back of Plato at the start of this race. Around Seagrave.
It's a lively weekend, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this restart, bit better, bit cleaner from Morgan.
Yeah, goes earlier, doesn't he?
But then Ollie Jackson coming through Campbell just goes straight. It seems like he takes the first part right-hander and then goes straight off, broken front right.
Mhm.
So they didn't know if there was contact or if it
No.
broke it over the curb
Yeah.
or what had happened.
Didn't
but
see.
someone had snapped. It was a shame because he wasn't anywhere this weekend either.
No, completely nowhere.
And safety car number 3.
Yeah.
Right, is that what it is? Wow.
Adam Morgan's the luckiest man ever in some ways. Cause
Many ways.
he lost a lot of, he lost a lot of laps here, but it was kind of keeping a gap to Turkington at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's another restart, and I think a lap, 2 or 3 laps, I think it's 3 laps before the end, Morgan then locks up going towards the final chicane and then straight lines it, and goes from about a 7/10 lead to 2.5 seconds lead, and then takes a lap and a half to slow back down to where he should be.
Yeah.
If I was Colin Turkington, I'd be mightily angry about it because he's just lost 2 laps of attacking.
Yeah, he was angry after the race apparently, but not to the media. There was people
Right.
saying that he was complaining about it, but what can you do? But yeah, to me,
Well,
it's
the
something
stewards
needs to be
could do
looked at
something.
that, because one thing I was thinking about is that if you go across that chicane, then any other corner, if you go in that quick, you're just going off on the grass. You've lost the place and maybe many places.
Mm-hmm.
But because of where that corner is, you just go straight on and ignore the corner. So if you have the option to do that, I know you could put a wall across to stop people going, but then it's dangerous if someone loses the brakes, etc. So if you have to cut that much of the chicane, you should be given an instant 5-second penalty, is my view.
Oof. Boom.
You know, if you cut
know-
the little bits like not Morgan, sorry, like Ingram and Cook did
Cook.
at the same time,
Yeah.
that's a different matter. But if you ignore the corner completely like that, I feel you should be penalised straight away for it.
Unless you've been put there through contact.
Yes, but he just completely outbraked himself.
Yeah. The thing with that is, I heard someone saying, "Oh, he should have lost the position." I don't think he should have lost the position.
See, I do.
Reversed it. Do you think reversed it back?
Only, because, as I say, if it's another corner, you're going to lose that position because you would have gone off the track and you wouldn't have been able to keep it.
For me, I just think you have to redress it and close back in again. I think that would be fine. Because if he's like Turkington wasn't even making a move at that point.
No.
He's not even trying. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Either way is wrong, and it should something should happen. It's just the tricky bit is deciding what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I thought it was pretty disrespectful because there's no effort to redress at all.
No.
He just
As the
and
rules
by
are
the end
now,
of the race,
yeah.
Turkington is quicker and gets to him, and you just think, well, if Turkington was behind him earlier on in the race, that could have been overtakes for the lead. You know,
the lead gap between the two was 3/10 at the end.
Mm-hmm.
so Morgan will argue, "Oh, I've slowly decreased it," but he didn't.
Well, he did, but far too slowly. I think
he should have
He eased off
stopped on
slightly.
the start finish line essentially,
Mm-hmm.
because I think after a lap it was down to 1.3, where previously it was only like 7/10. So he still had that advantage, and then slowly gave it back. To me, it needs to be instant back to what it was,
Yeah.
and he didn't do that. So I'm surprised they didn't penalise him immediately, but I think they'll need to look at it. And if they're not going to, I'm not
Yeah,
too-
he's not
'cause
under
it's-
investigation for it.
He
No, it
gained
was-
an advantage. There's no two ways about it,
Mm-hmm.
He did, and
and it was
it's
obvious and embarrassing.
similar to the Ingram one in race 1, where Ingram did give the position.
Yeah.
When I don't think Proctor was making a move, but it was close.
Yeah.
This one's pretty similar. The gap's probably a little bit bigger, but it's still left the track gains an advantage, a lasting advantage, because he didn't have to defend from Turkington for 2 laps. It's gonna be. I'm surprised they're not even looking at it. I thought they definitely would have.
As soon as he
It's
did
not
it,
a good
I
look
thought
if they
it would
don't.
be a penalty of
Yeah,
some,
it should
some
be.
description.
Yeah. Or you do your best to
Mm-hmm.
close it up or something. There's none of that. It came from a front lockup again,
Yeah.
which we've seen the BMWs in the Sicily camp do most all of the season.
Mm-hmm.
When Morgan did he win at Brands Hatch, and he was locking up left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I think so.
Chilton said before the race it's because they're both adapting to rear-wheel drive, which isn't just how the car behaves through the corner on the exit of the corner. It does. The front-wheel drive cars have a very aggressive and effective differential at the front, which basically means you can hardly ever lock up the front wheels unless you're Rick Parfitt like he did at Brands. But in essence, you can just slam on the brakes as hard as you can, and even still turn a bit, and it won't lock up. Whereas on the rear-wheel drive, you have to brake hard, but then bleed off the brakes,
Yeah.
which much smoother and much earlier, and that's taken them a lot of time to get used to. That's one of the reasons why their Morgan's got some good results, but him and Chilton generally are slower than WSR ones over most of the races.
I think they are slower. It's just Morgan's made good use of the reverse grids.
Exactly, I would agree with that. I just not for me that cutting the chicane there in that fashion. Blazer did it in 2007, but he was trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it acceptable.
I don't know. Ingram and Butcher had another fight.
Yep.
And Tom,
c'est la vie.
Tom won, he did in every race apart from when he had the puncture.
Mm.
And he came out in 5th. So it finished with Morgan, Colin Turton, and then Senna Proctor on another podium for him.
Oh, yeah, forgot. I missed that, yeah.
Yeah, he was quiet this race, just sitting in 3rd.
I said he'd take a win, and I was wrong.
He did.
Got the wrong BTC car.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6'7".
So,
that's what they always used to call him in the Clios for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Was it Richard John Neal always called him 6'7"?
6'7".
He's bigger than 6 foot.
Yeah.
Really?
He pushed past me, and I'm 6 foot. He's about an extra half a foot taller than me. The guy's a massive boy. He's a man mountain. He doesn't need ballast in his car. He's huge. I wouldn't want to upset him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm staying quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of podcast.
He's going to hear this. I'm in trouble. What's any other interesting results? Stephen Jelly 15th again. Didn't see him all weekend.
There was a lot of anonymous people this weekend.
He went off in free practice, I think, Stephen Jelly, and damaged his car, maybe. Don't know.
Moffat didn't notice all weekend.
He got a penalty, did he?
Did he?
Yeah.
1 second for
Race
gaining in race 1. 1 second for gaining unfair advantage during an incident with Ollie Jackson, but I don't know what that was.
No, because we never saw him on telly.
No. Ash Sutton only finished 10th, but with full weight on.
Who cares?
Yeah.
He had a great weekend.
So did Ingram, to be fair, if it wasn't for that puncher. I think he had a
Yeah.
great performance this weekend, just not a great result in terms of the points.
30-point gap, which is big.
It is, but it can all turn around quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm struggling to see if
He's
it's
done
going to
now,
happen.
in my opinion.
I think you can pretty much discount anyone outside the top 5 now.
Yeah.
100%.
So
Shedden's
Sutton,
out. Shedden, bad year.
yeah. Sutton 210, Ingram 180, Cook 173, Hill 171.
Those two are still in there, considering their inconsistencies.
Yeah, and Tuckington 169.
He's always in.
Do you think Hill will win a race this year?
He deserves to, but I don't know if
It
he will.
qualifies too well in race 1
Yeah.
to then not get the average results in race 1, race 2, and get a reverse grid. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It does. He's always 3rd or 4th, it seems.
Yeah. So he'll finish race 1, 3rd or 4th. Then he'll have to wait until he'll finish, I don't know, 7th or 8th or retire. 6th, yeah. Then he'll get like 4th or 5th on the reverse grid.
Yeah.
So it's consistent points.
I hope he does, though, for the team as well.
Yeah, me too. Deserves it.
Yeah, I think he stepped up a lot this year, actually.
Oh, yeah. Car's helped, no doubt.
Yeah.
But he's also thrashed his teammates as well, which helps.
Yeah, who are they?
His qualifying pace, yeah, exactly. His qualifying pace is the most impressive thing that's sort of flown under the radar.
Because Ollie Jackson's done okay at times, but
Yeah.
not brilliant. He did quite well last year, but not so much this year.
Not so far, yeah.
And the other two Ford drivers,
Nowhere.
yeah.
But it is a competitive car if you get the
Mhm.
right driving style. Anyway.
Yeah, and Ingram got fastest lap.
I think what's interesting is Sutton hasn't actually been involved in any incidents this year, really.
So
Yeah.
far.
Whereas last year he had a few, which pegged him back.
Well, last year, both him and Turkington had incidents at Croft, and that's where we're headed next.
Yeah.
That's almost a
Usually
segue.
some big problems at Croft for someone, isn't there?
But
Who's he going to be?
people talk about, rear-wheel drive knock-hill. Croft is the one.
Yeah.
Although I do think a light front-wheel drive cars, I do think like one of the Dynamics cars will be on the front row again in qualifying.
Proctor for the win?
No. They'll bill it as his home track because it's the only one slightly in the north.
Yeah.
Is not Kill closer to where he's from than this?
No, it is closer to where he's from, I think.
Ah, okay.
It's not, so,
Mm.
home track should be used if you live in the same county, let's say.
Yeah. So 18th, 19th September Croft, and then it's Silverstone the week after. So back-to-back touring cars.
Nice.
Donington, and then end of October, 23rd, 24th is Brands Hatch to finish it out. The most dangerous track in Britain, Brands Hatch.
Oh, because GT World Challenge race, McLaren ended up in the woods.
Yeah.
That is a track that needs catch fences in more places than it has. I think it's only got really one. Or maybe two.
No, it's got more at the back these days since I've been.
Is there?
Yeah. DTM required it, I think. But it doesn't really have them on the outside there because I guess there's no fans to protect, right?
No, but,
Maybe that's the thinking behind it.
and also
But
it's
there's
a
trees,
right-hand
trees to
turn.
hit.
Yeah.
But it's not the first time by a long shot the cars have gone off that way.
Yeah, that's
No.
true.
And I think there's been too many incidents over the last few years and even the last few months where I think they need to take a look at that track.
There's not enough. It's very narrow, and I'm fine with the asphalt being narrow, but the runoff areas are narrow.
Yeah, because there isn't runoff there at all, is there?
No. But the thing is, it's all trees, and do they get in trouble for deforestation? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's
either.
all sorts of regulations around that, so you've got to be careful.
Don't know if they even own the land that side.
Yeah, might be someone else's. Tricky one. I'm with you though, Colin.
Yeah, I agree.
Still maybe planning my year-end trip there. But we'll see.
I keep forgetting to think about that.
And another year where they're not running the full Silverstone, which I know they'll never do. But I want them to.
Do you want the days of the F1 support race? With
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh, that'd be so good.
Yeah, it would be amazing that. Just a
I don't
one-off
mind-
race where they have one qualifying session and it's a full lap.
Yeah.
And 10 lap, 5 lap, 6 lap race, whatever.
Bring back
Go.
Bridge Corner just for it. That's hard to say. Bring back.
Oh,
Bridge.
yeah. It's still there. I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw it when you went there, Colin.
Yeah. It's not usable, but it's
It's still there, though, yeah.
It's still there.
You walk over,
think-
depending on the entrance, you walk over it.
Yeah.
drive
There's a Lewis Hamilton mural painted on the wall there.
Oh, is there?
Or there was when at Silverstone during the Grand Prix. Yeah, I loved that corner. That was that up into what's the Wellington Straight now was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that medium length Silverstone was not great at the time, but it's so much better than what they use now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're going to redevelop that and totally rip up the old Bridgeway track.
Oh.
But I think that's a shame because I liked that.
Well, I'm glad I
It was
walked on
it was nice to see it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think we care about the team's championship, do we?
Nah,
Nah.
let's go to bed.
BTC and laser tools are equal on free ferry,
Oh.
so
BTC might win a team's championship. Interesting.
I hope so. And Dan Rowbottom's leading the Jack Sears.
What about the award that I always forget the name of? That I've forgotten the name of again.
The Clubfoot Award,
Clubfoot Award.
the Kasabian Award, the Wingfoot Award.
Haven't they been cancelled? Anyway.
Oh, I think the lead singer
That's not
definitely has.
That's not going to happen.
Colin Turkington's ahead
Woo.
of Jake Hill
Jake
by
Hill's
1
got
point,
there, yeah.
which I don't know how this is calculated, so this means nothing to me.
It's the amount of overtakes, isn't it?
No, it's qualifying, isn't it?
Oh, yes, no, it was overtakes about 2 years ago.
Yeah. It changes
Sorry.
all the time and all this.
Yeah.
Now F1's
That-
copied the old British Touring Car formula.
Yeah, I
which
think that's
British
what-
Touring Cars has gone, we're going to change that, and because it's not very good, Formula 1's gone, let's give this a go.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's average qualifying position, I think. And Jack Battelle won a Jack Sears award for the first time. I don't know if you saw that at the weekend.
Ah, right.
Is that the highest placed rookie driver
Person with that
or
podium.
non-podium? Yeah. Well done.
Yep.
And off to Croft
So-
next as well, so we can play the traditional Croft bingo. Will they end up in the wheat fields? Will they mention it's a rear-wheel drive dominated track?
Yeah.
Will
What
someone
about the
hit
potato?
off? Oh yeah, the potato field. Will someone
Yeah.
knock over the polystyrene barriers?
Yes. Is it a tyre stack or just polystyrene over there these days?
It always used to be a tyre stack, but I think it's the
Yeah, it's just polystyrene.
the weird name thing.
Yeah.
Will someone dive into the hairpin and take someone out and still keep the position? There's
What about John?
yeah. There's many things that always happen at Croft. Is someone going to cut that chicane?
Oh, that one cut the chicane. Yeah,
Yeah.
always. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. But before that, we're at Zandvoort
Yes.
for Max Verstappen's second home race in a week.
Max, Super Max.
Yeah. I'm going to be watching this weekend's race on mute. Because two days straight of Super Max, I just, no.
Yeah.
Kind of, too much.
Why was it on the coverage?
It will be.
It will be there.
It will be this weekend. The entire track will be orange. It'll be quite
I mean, amazing.
it'll be a nice spectacle to see.
Yeah.
But I think it'll tire pretty quick.
And he's going to dominate, I think.
Yeah, probably.
I hope the pit exit is actually better in real life than it is in the game.
I'm not sure about that.
How big a crash do you think there's going to be at the final corner? Spectacular, because
I do think there's going to be tyre controversy.
Yeah.
I am so surprised that corner's there in an F1 race.
Do you think someone could leap the barriers? Ava style?
Probably not, but someone could easily end up in the catch fence.
Yeah, or like an
Given-
IndyCar race, yeah.
Yeah, given the speed and how steep that bank is, I'm just so shocked it didn't take that away for F1.
I think you're overestimating the fact that it'll be actually close racing.
That's true. Very true.
The banking was actually put in for F1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Weirdly.
Yeah.
Not recent, I'm assuming, like
Yeah.
back in the day. Recent?
No, recent. Yeah, they
Yeah,
totally reprofiled that corner before they got the...
But it was cancelled on
race.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
That's mad. I'm just so surprised, because you don't see banked corners like that in F1.
They changed that, and also turn 4, which is really banked, but also really slow as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be really one thing to watch. People's different lines around there. Because we watch touring car racing around there. Tom Coronel's got the best line. He is from Netherlands, and he does driver days there every week. Where it's like he sort of breaks in the middle of the track. He doesn't do a conventional racing line or an outside line. He ends up sort of in the middle and V'ing it off. And I wonder if they'll do that in F1. Keep your eyes peeled for that. On lap 1, there could be lots of different lines.
On his YouTube channel.
Oh, there is. Yes, there is.
Because he does release about 30 a day, I think.
It is, yeah. Has he followed you and unfollowed you? Oh, no, that's his brother and they don't do it anymore. Don't know if you ever saw that. But anyway, we need to end.
No. Indeed.
Yeah. Lap 1's going to be carnage. That's what I think.
Maybe, but then I don't think anything will happen after that.
No. I agree with you.
Just the sight, if it was there in person, the sight of those cars going that quick around the track would be quite interesting.
But you'd have to put up with Supermax for 2 hours straight.
Where is that?
We don't have a Super Lewis chant or anything
No,
like that
let's
here.
not start one.
No.
Agreed. So, well, this was longer than I expected because there was no F1 race. But
Yeah,
if you made
that's
it
bad. That's bad.
if you-
Sorry, everybody.
if you made it this far, well done. And we'll be back next week with the Zandvoort review. Then maybe an Italian review. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think some of us might not be here for that, but we'll get something out.
Yeah.
And but we'll be back next week with Zandvoort.
That's
So
one.
we'll see you then.
Thank you very much, and sorry for waffling on a lot this week.
Indeed.
Let's go round again.
That's the ending.
Oh, Tom, you still owe us the John Barnes rap from
Oh,
2 months
yeah.
ago.
Well, that
Very
was...
true.
I can't remember that now. Did it ages ago.
Next week.
Diddle-diddle-doo, 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 diddle-diddle-doo.